Howdy guys, it's Luke at Geekgaming Scenics, and in this video we're going to have a look at some terrain crate stuff. I'll see you after this. So guys, me and Neil from Real Terrain Hobbies have been asked by Mantic to create some terrain using their terrain crate stuff. Okay, I'm a massive lover of this. I got the stuff 7 years ago on Kickstarter before or even on YouTube. It was one of the first sci-fi systems that I played was Deadzone, and the main reason that I got into it was because of the terrain. It's affordable, it's super modular, and the fact that you can use it on a fixed table, on a normal gaming mat, change it up and just move it around. You can even break it down once you've built it up and repurpose it for something else. It's the perfect terrain system, and I'm not lying. So I've put this video together to show you how good it is, and Neil's gonna take it to the next level. Look forward to seeing that. But anyway guys, let's get cracking. So when I first received the box from Mantic, I opened it up to a very big surprise. They've already pre-clipped it! Mantic, keep doing what you're doing, because that's awesome. That's one job I don't have to do. I mean, there's some clips and bits that are on the occasional sprue, but I'm happy with that. The bulk of the work's done and clean for you, so let's get cracking. The original stuff I got about 7 years ago was all on sprues, and it was my biggest pet peeve about plastic terrain. It's my pet peeve about models, so terrain, it really annoyed me, especially when you've got loads of them to do. And clipping these clips off sprues, that was annoying as well, but now they all come in bags, and the clips are the main thing of how this works. It just push fits together. It's the perfect dry fitting system, so if you've got an idea of something that you want to build, you can use buttresses, you can use clips, you can just clip it all together and then see if you like it. If you do, you can choose to glue it into place. But you can take it from me guys, if you use enough clips and use them on most corners, this will be strong enough to use without glue. And the best thing about that, if you decide after you've played with it a few times you want to change that up, you can just change it up. This is literally adult Lego guys, and once you've got a few ideas of how a few of the simple processes work, your mind just starts going crazy. Now I started with just the basic set, get an idea of what I wanted to do, it's been a while since I've built this, and then I built the helipad. And the helipad's got loads of new bits that I've never seen before, like the legs, the angled clips, so you can do angled walls, which it was all very box shaped originally. Now you can do more than just that. And once I'd built just 2 sets out the boxes, it got my brain thinking. I was like, what can I do with this to make it modular so it works for multiple game systems that I play and still break down and not be fixed to anything permanently? So I started with just putting a few of the tiles on a board, which I would fix in. And then I put a container on there, and the idea of the container was so if I wanted to use the helipad, I could raise it up another level, and then there's 2 levels that your models can play on. However, when I put the helipad on top of that, playing underneath it would be quite complicated, and there wouldn't be many legs to support it up there. So I first built like a walkway around the container. This means it doesn't really look like a container anymore. But it works as a platform. It works as something that would be under the helipad. And then I thought I'd try mounting loads of places for the feet to go, where the legs would support the helipad above. However, this made it quite cumbersome, so I had to do a simple modification. Now this has got multiple purposes. 1, so I can only use bare minimum feet, so they're not going to get in the way of play. And 2, it adds a hell of a lot of strength, so it's not going to matter if we're using it on its own or we're using it on 2, 3 or 4 levels high. It won't matter because the 4 legs are just to give it its height, and then the plastic gives it its strength. Now because this was going to be a piece that I wasn't going to be breaking down, I glued the feet on. I used plastic cement to glue all the tile pieces together, and as you can see, it started to come together pretty quickly. And I've only used glue on the helipad, the rest of it is just push fit. The walkways are just push fit, and I think this is amazing because if I decide that I want to completely change it or build something and I need some bits, just take it apart. It might scuff your paintwork a bit when you do it, but we can just touch it up later. Now this was just one idea. This was just one terrain setup that I'd like to play on. So I thought, while we've got all this in place, let's get it painted. Now, for all you people out there that haven't got an airbrush, I'm doing it both ways. I'm going to show you how I paint this with a brush, and I'm going to show you how I paint this with an airbrush. So don't go anywhere. So I start with brown through the airbrush as a base coat, and then I go on to just highlighting with a dark sand. But I spray that from a distance and get a general cover of the main colour on there, and then I build up the colour in the higher areas just so it appears lighter at the top. Then using my air gun, I use a bone through there, and because it's got a 0.6 needle in that and it's spraying a very light mist, I spray bone from above and just dust it to get a very, very pale finish. Now I'm spraying on a homemade wash, which is literally my matte Scenic sealant from my range with some inks in it. And the reason this works really well is it's got plenty of flow aid in there, and it's an acrylic based glue, so it works very well. The only thing I would say is clean your airbrush out if you're going to do that, okay? I spray it on all over, you get a very even coat, but as you can see it starts to run and really fill into them recesses. And then once we've got that wash on all over, I then wipe it with a cloth and I pull down and dab, and it just gives it a very irregular finish, which makes it look a little bit weathered. I want this to look quite new, I don't want it to look old, but I want it to look like it's been out in the elements for a considerable amount of time. And just wiping this with the cloth just brings so much more detail out. Now this is not a step that you have to do, I just think it adds a bit more visual interest and it's very simple to do. I'm just using some German camo green and I'm just painting it on some of the details and some of the raised areas, just so it looks like military markings. Now for you guys that don't have an airbrush, what I use is a big wash brush and then I overbrush over the brown with the desert sand, and I just drag that down. Overbrushing is like a dry brush with plenty of paint on your brush, and just brush down, keep brushing down, and you'll get the similar sort of effect to airbrushing it. It's a bit more rough and ready, but it does look good and it adds plenty of visual interest. The one thing that doesn't work as good is using the wash with a brush because it's not as even. However, using a brush isn't the best bit. Using a wash brush is better, but it still doesn't give you that same finish. But it still works, it just looks a bit rougher, which if you're going for that really messed up, ruined look, you can do that. And Mantic do have ruined tiles and damaged pieces, so if you're going for like a really damaged, messed up military outpost, then you can achieve that. So working with a brush is as good, and it is actually a little bit quicker. It's just a bit more rough and ready. Now to make it not look as rough and ready, I'm just going over with a base coat again, just to neaten it up and make it look a bit fresher. And then it's as simple as just picking out the details again with a bit of green and a bit of silver, and then we're done. And this is why I love the Deadzone stuff. It goes together very easily, it paints very easily, and whether you're playing Deadzone 3 with multi-level walkways, just built up dense terrain, or you're going to break it down and use minimum terrain, it still looks great no matter how you use it. If you want to put that on a fixed gaming table, you can do. Whether you're playing Killteam or any other sci-fi game, this terrain just works. And it doesn't matter what system you play, you can have some amazing games with just this. And if you get fed up with it and you want to completely change what you've built, you've not glued it together. You can just pop it apart and build something different. What I've done is about as basic as it gets. A basic paint job, building very basic things. There's more packs out there with completely different sets, that with loads of different tiles, ruined bits, different doors, boxes. Terrain Crate's got everything sorted that you need. I used very few boxes to build this, and I just wanted to show the possibilities that you can do without spending too much money, and that's what Mantic's great at. If you want to see something a bit more elaborate, let's have a look at what Neil's done from Real Terrain Hobbies. But anyway guys, thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in. If you want to support me, do check the links to all the mantic stuff below. And always guys, if you want to make any gorgeous scenery or base models, don't forget to check out my shop where you can buy all my Scenics. But anyway, I'll catch you for the next video. Love, love, love.